and we have innovative teaching and learning, mathematics and science. So now, quickly going through the Center of Excellency in Internet of Things, the IoT has the following programs. We have Master of Science in IoT, Embedded Computer Systems. We have Wireless Intelligence Sensor Networking. We have Embedded Computer Systems. Wireless Intelligence Sensor Networking. So, we have also been running short courses. The IoT offers short training in ICT in human development in partnership with JICA and the Kobe Institute of Computing. 2 cohorts have graduated, and the 3rd cohort will start in January. Next. I have been advised to use the back screen. I think my eyes are comfortable with the big screens. I don't want to lead it to go much into the challenges we are facing. I think these are some, the presentation will be there. Let's go to what we are doing. Next. So this is a Center of Excellence, the African Center of Excellence in Innovative Teaching and Learning Mathematics and Science. So we have Masters of Education in Biology, Master of Education in Chemistry Education, Master of Education in Mathematics, Master of Education in Physics, PhD by Research in Biology, PhD by Research in Chemistry, PhD by Research in Mathematics, and PhD by Research in Physics Education. Also short courses. The center has been training secondary school teachers. This is a very interesting story that we also have. We've been offering CPD, innovative teaching and learning, teaching in mathematics to school teachers. This is a big project in Rwanda across the country. Next. This is a center, the African Center of Excellence in Energy for Sustainable Development. So in this center, we have the following programs: Master of Science in Electrical Power Systems, Master of Science in Renewable Energy, Master of Science in Energy Economics, PhD of Electrical Power Systems, PhD of Renewable Energy, and PhD of Energy Economics. Next, please. This is the data science. Now, we have also, as I mentioned, the African Center of Excellence in Data Science. So we have the following programs. We have PhD and Masters in Data Science Biostatistics, PhD and Masters in Data Science Demography, PhD and Masters in Data Science in Actuarial Science, PhD and Masters in Data Science Econometrics, and PhD and Masters in Data Science in Data Mining. As other centers, the data science offers the following certification program in partnership with DASA: Associate Big Data Analysis, Senior Big Data Analysis, Associate Big Data Engineer, Senior Big So in master's, enrollment in master's students, if you read in both slides, the first one is more into the numbers. The right chart, it's by gender. So I think, let me start with the left one. For master's enrollment, in total, we have 910 for all the centers, with a distribution of 761 nationals and 149 regional, distributed into the centers. For the IoT, in total, we have 173, 137 being nationals, and 36 being from the region. The energy for sustainable development, in total, 241 in total. 100. No. I'm reading the others. Yes. Yes, I was reading for the Internet of Things. I have finished it for the data science. For the energy for sustainable development, in total, we have 241, 108 being nationals, and 43 being from the region. For innovative teaching and learning mathematics and science, we have enrollment of 228 in total, 197 from the being nationals, and 31 from the region. Energy for sustainable development. No, the last one is data science. For data science, we have 268 in total, 229 nationals, and 39 from the region. The right screen, you can see, we have got a very good representation of gender. In this case, the ladies. In total, we have 275 women enrolled in these programs out of 910. Next, please. Yes, same thing for the PhD. Distribution of PhD students in Rwanda by nationality. In total, we have 250. Maybe this camera, let me try to do justice with the camera. Yes. I was just taking through. You can also read, but I can take you through. The total, we are 250 PhDs enrollment, and 165 being nationals, and 85 from the region, distributed along the centers of excellence, as you can see. If you don't mind, we can share these slides. I don't have to read one by one. Next, Cindy. Next, please. This slide shows those graduated already. So in PhD program, in total, 42 have graduated already, and 20 out of 42, 27 being nationals, and 20 coming from the region. Also distributed along the centers of excellence that way. 5 from data science, 9 from energy for sustainable development, 13 from Internet of Things, and 21 from innovative teaching and learning mathematics and science. That's PhD. For master's student, in total, we have graduated 508. And then out of 508, 278 from being nationals, and 127 from the region. This is the right chart, distributed along the centers of excellence. 103 from data science, 143 from energy for sustainable development, 113 from Internet of Things, and 143 from innovative teaching and learning mathematics and science. with those distribution of gender. Next, please. These are short courses. Yes, I think as many colleagues mentioned yesterday, we have done many short courses even than what we anticipated. Okay, in total, you can see we have 4,123 short courses delivered among the distribution of the centers of the centers of excellence, whether it's IoT, energy for sustainable development, innovative teaching and learning, mathematics and science, and energy for sustainable development. To the right hand chart was showing the distribution of nationals and by region, and then the left side was more into gender distribution. And those are the numbers. The next, please. This is a good story. Employment is key. So as you can see, among our graduates, 93% graduates of energy programs in energy and sustainable development, 93% already employed. This is a very good employment rate. Same for data science, 93%. For innovative teaching and learning mathematics, maybe we need to discuss here, because employment rate here, I think it was supposed to be even 100%, because we need more human force in teaching and learning. So, but we have 87. Actually, here we're supposed to be having higher. Maybe we can discuss later and see, because I think we are struggling to have the right force for teaching and learning math and science. So we have 87. We have 80 employment rate of our graduates for Internet of Things, and 100% for PhD programs. I think what makes a difference here, most of PhDs, I think they are already employed. I think that's why we have 100% employment rate. Next, please. These are the exchange program with institutions where we have memorandum of understanding. So as you can see, we have been going beyond the targets. If you see in total, we have done exchange, we have achieved 581 in total, but our target was around 266. So we can see how far we have been able to beat the target and go beyond. Discussions also can be done whether we had low target. That's why we achieved more than double. Yes, distributed along the centers of excellence. So exchange programs have been conducted by academic staff, PhD and master students, and conducted in different institutions whom we have the memorandum of understanding. Next, please. This slide highlights the accreditation. Like many people were talking about the accreditation. Maybe my colleagues can elaborate more. But to take you quickly, the Rwanda Centers of Excellence, African Centers of Excellence have 28 academic programs, 14 PhDs, and 14 masters. All 28 programs are nationally accredited by our Higher Education Council in Rwanda. 8 programs are internationally accredited, and the Center of Excellence in Data Science received international accreditation from the Data Science Council of America. The right chart just a breakdown of the numbers. We can go next, please. Remaining programs are yet to be accredited internationally. The Internet of Things and the Innovative Teaching and Learning Math and Science have already received the recommendations and comments from the accrediting body, and they are being addressed. The Energy for Sustainable Development has already received the comments and recommendations from the accrediting body, as mentioned there. Regional accreditation processes have been initiated by the Centers of Excellence. Next, please. These are the partnerships that the centers have got. In total, 42 distributed, as you can see. This one I have already mentioned, the Memorandum of Understanding with the higher learning institutions and the partner industries. Publications, peer-reviewed journal papers or peer-reviewed conference papers prepared collaboratively with nationals, regional or international authors have been published through different publishing bodies. In data science, the African Center of Excellence in Data Science has published 86 against a target of 45 papers. This represents almost a double. The Center of Excellence, can we go back? Can we go back, please? Yes, I was still taking you through. The Center of Excellence in Internet of Things has published 159 against a target of 24. This is a huge, I think, if we continue, irrespective of the source of thing, we push the target higher. The Center of Excellence in Energy for Sustainable Development has published 111 against the target of 21. You can see we have done much than the target was indicated. The Center of Excellence in Innovative Teaching and Learning, Math and Science has published 268 against 45. So you can see a good work has been done. Next, please. Income generation, I think this is key. This is very critical. All our centers, we're working very hard in generating revenues for sustainability. Though we cannot say we can be sustainable by this income generation, at least some good development is being done. So we collect, can we go back? So the income generation has been through tuition fees, admin fees, and interest from deposits, because the cash the income we generate, we deposit to the banks because we've been having operation funds. Then we were able also to make resources from the interest. So those are the figures there are in the Rwanda money, Rwanda francs. If you want to compute, at least for you to get an understanding of the figures, the exchange rate between the Rwanda money and the dollar is $1 is about 1,200 Rwanda francs. So when we talk about millions, they're not really millions in the other currencies. But it's a good resource in our context. So you can see the revenue that the centers have been able to generate. So you can see, for example, the first one, the Center of Excellence for Energy and Sustainable Development. They have been able to generate around 745 million. That's Rwanda francs. If you divide it by 1,200, you get the equivalence of US dollars. So I don't want to bore you with figures. You can get an indication. Next, please. These are the disbursements. We have undisbursed balance as it is shown there. So the disbursement rate is around 97%. It's close to 100. The remaining 3% is for the international accreditation funds, which under disbursement, which by December 15 will be done. Next, please. This is the funds utilization rate. Without going into too much of the breakdown, the utilization rate is at 81% as an average. So the centers of excellence varying from 89, 80, 65. The Internet of Things, 65, if I remember correctly, they had issues with procurement of equipment, etc. So it delayed, but someone can explain better later. Next. Benchmarking exercise. In May 2019, in Kigali, the University of Rwanda hosted the second PASET regional benchmarking capacity building workshop. The 3D workshop was organized in collaboration with Africa Virtual University, AVU, under the Korea World Bank Partnership Facility. Participants discussed the role of data and use of technology in higher education sector and government agencies in digital economy. The theme of the event was the role of data and use of technology in higher education sector in digital economy. I think this was for benchmarking. Next, please. Infrastructure development. I'm not going to lead it to spend much time here. We understand the required infrastructure. So we normally put in significant resource to put up the required infrastructure, whether it is lab or facelifting of facilities, etc. Next. Same thing here, the makerspace, science park, and energy for sustainable development, laboratory for Internet of Things. This is what I was saying, the procurement of equipment was an issue at the beginning. Libraries, high-performing computer for big data storage, analysis, smart classrooms, and computer labs established. Next, please. Incubation hubs. The following incubation hubs have been successfully established at the Rwanda Centers of Excellence. The GRID Innovation and Incubation Hub in the Center of Excellence for Energy and Sustainable Development. IoT and AI Applied Research Incubation Hub in the Center for Internet of Things. Just a minute. Go back, please. No. I requested to go back a little bit. Yes, I was here. I just finished the IoT and the artificial intelligence. Now the data-driven incubation hub, also for data science. Incubation hubs are for enhancing research and to make them social problem solutions driven research. Incubation have been established to ensure the commercialization of the research outputs. I think this is a very good story. Next, please. No. I think you're running very fast than me. The foreign incubation house, I think this is, no, this one we have finished. Next. Am I confusing you? So these are some of the key issues around sustainability. So some initiatives have been taken to ensure sustainability of the centers of excellence to make sure that the sustainability is granted. The centers have been embedded in the college by the respective areas of specialization. They work within the university and within the colleges. Highly qualified academic staff have been trained for building capacity. This will facilitate the smooth running of the Centers of Excellence programs after the World Bank funding. Process of securing the additional financing is underway. Of course, this is critical. It is important at this particular moment to be realistic on the financing. The Center of Excellence in Innovative Teaching and Learning Math and Science Resource Center has been built to ensure conducive environment for both students and lecturers. I think this one is anticipated to generate revenue going forward for sustainability. Next, please. Financial sustainability. A term deposit of 3 years of a total of 1.5 million USD was done last year with a commercial bank at the 11% interest rate. It is expected to generate more than 500,000 USD. Of course, this is a small money, but it's significant as it comes as an interest. So for sustainability, we have already talked. The infrastructure that we have built will definitely trigger revenue generation. So we have smart classrooms, laboratories, high-performing computers, PV solar systems, high e-tech, smart grid laboratories, etc. Next, please. For the Center of Excellence for Energy and Sustainable Development, this information we're coming up per center. So we have established the Science Park for researchers, Grid Innovation and Incubation Hub, where over 120 young innovators were trained. 32 incubators have been admitted, incubatees. Startups employed 5 permanent employees, 5 have been given startup capital, while 8 have been given seed fund. High performing saver for artificial intelligence and data science. No, it's fine, we can continue. No, just go back. Go back one slide, please. Go back one slide, please. No, next. Next. No, this one. Yes, this one. I just want to mention that the centers have been doing a good job in working on different grants. So you can see on this slide, the Center of Excellence have won different research grants amounting to more than $5 million. I think this is a good job. The IoT won 5 research grants amounting to 1.5. Energy for Sustainable Development won 6 grants worth 3.2 million. And data science won 5 research grants amounting to more than 1 million. And the Center of Excellence in Innovative Teaching and Learning Math was 3 research grants amounting to 339. But in total, up there we have 5.23 million in grants. So we continue to apply for such grants, continue the process to write and apply from different grants that will support the sustainability going forward. This was important. These are lessons learned and key recommendations. Number 1, results-based and projects for results management. I think this can be elaborated in the discussion. Engaging the private sector is a key to successful research outcome. The close partnership made with other institutions or organizations at national, regional, and the international level saved a lot as far as in teaching and research activities. The approach used at the University of Rwanda to implement the Centers of Excellence, embedding Center of Excellence in the colleges, depending on their specialization. This is in terms embedment, if I can call it so. The NSC, I think someone will assist me on that, was tasked with a semi-annual review of performance, withdrawal applications, approval of plans, and verifying the implementation. It's prompt action. Even special meetings were called on whenever needed, were considerable support to the University of Rwanda Centers of Excellence. My colleagues will assist me to elaborate on that. Good governance and political will of the hosting countries and the region as a whole. New program development in new areas like Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, remote sensing, etc. Next, please. For future investment, the following will be enhanced. Diversifying fund resources. We don't have to rely on one source of funding. I think this is the meaning. Invest in research commercialization, capacity building of academic staff, of course. That goes without saying. Green initiative, community engagement, secure more grant opportunities, as we have mentioned, enhancement of incubation centers, incubation hubs. Next, please. These are some of earmarked programs to be developed. At the Center of Excellence for Internet of Things, the program to be developed, Master of Science in Internet of Things, big data analytics, Masters of Science in Artificial Intelligence, robotics, in artificial intelligence robotics, and postdoctoral programs in domain of embedded systems, wireless sensor networking, and artificial intelligence. In the Center of Innovative Teaching and Learning, Math and Science, the review its 8 existing master's and PhD programs by integrating artificial intelligence and emerging technologies with industry, applications in the education sector. Orientation to implement national and regional education goals and support to achieve holistic green economic growth. A new CPD, this is CPD, Continuous Professional Program in skills for STEM educators in 21st century, with particular emphasis on entrepreneurship, commercialization, use of IT, AI, and emerging technologies in science and mathematics education. So in the Center of Excellence for Energy and Sustainable Development, the earmarked program to be developed include Master of Science program on energy policy and climate adaptation, 3 professional courses for rapid response to the energy industries, strategy to maximize research implementation and impact, research quality, capacity building, dissemination of findings, and enhancing industry partnership. In the Center of Excellence for Data Science, we have anticipated program, a Master of Science and PhD in Data Science applied to, for example, health, agriculture, the BSc program in Data Science, protection, and security. Just a minute, please. 1 minute, 1 minute away. Yes, protection and security certified program in collaboration with partners. Power BI, Microsoft accredited trainer. Tableau, accredited trainer. IBM data science professional certificates, etc. I'm finishing on the last point, please. We intend to include our Center of Excellence in Biodiversity. This is the last one. The Center of Excellence by Diversity. We want also to bring it on board with multidisciplinary PhD programs in biodiversity science, short courses, continuous professional development for in-service staff working in the domains related to biodiversity conservation, including wildlife ecology, and management, community conservation, tourism and conservation, restoration ecology, ecosystem adaptation, climate change adaptation and biodiversity, green and blue economy, biodiversity and climate financing, climate finance, nature-based solutions, and new tools and technologies in biodiversity conservation. San. I think I'm done. Next. Murakoze Chan.
Thank you very much.
My colleagues,
yeah.
My colleagues at the back will assist me to address in case of any concern. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much. In the interest of time, we were going to have a virtual presentation from Kenya. I'm sure they are waiting. If they are ready, just raise your hand. I think it's another regional steering committee member, Paul, waiting to present. And please hang on to your burning questions. We just want to make sure that we catch up on time, and usually the discussions are similar. Is this a burning? But yeah.
Thank you, and thank you for the wonderful presentation. A quick question. I have a number of questions, but I think I'm only going to stick to one for now. Maybe I can come back later. Sure. The investments that you've made in terms of the long-term deposit look very, very exciting. But I just wanted to confirm, because you talked about 11% per annum for 3 years. Was that in US dollars or what currency was that? Because it's rare to see someone getting more than 4 or 5% US dollars per annum.
Yeah, I think I said my colleagues may assist me on this, but I think they were able to negotiate with the commercial banks. So this is indicated in dollars, but probably could be the equivalence. The amount deposited. Let me ask my colleagues. You have a microphone?
Thank you. The amount has been shown in USD, but the interest rate is in Rwandan francs. 11% is in Rwandan francs, not in USD. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. So, Paul, are you ready?
Yeah, yes, I'm ready.
Please go ahead.
Okay, I don't know whether they will share the screens from the other side.
You want me to ask?
All right. Paul's slides are just coming up, right?
Okay.
Huh? Can you share the screen, your screen, Paul? Can you share your screen?
Yes, I'm trying to do that.
We can see you, but we cannot see your screen yet.
Sim is coming, it's not coming up. I don't know whether you can share from your side because I sent the presentation.
Someone, IT can guide him. Yeah. Right. Okay. All right. We get you.
Okay, thank you.
Now, Paul.
Okay, thank you very much. For this time, I want to say I'm not able to be with you, but I will be coming over in the evening. So we'll be together tomorrow. But I want to present my presentation on Kenya. So let's go to the next slide. Yeah, this is the outline that we shall have. I will have the context. Then I'll look at AC2 intervention, look at the major outcomes of the project, the contribution of the project to the higher goals of the country and the region. Then look at the gaps, challenges, and any proposed recommendations, sustainability plans, and finally we'll look at key lessons with a view of informing future program. Next. So under the context, what I will look at is at the project inception, how was the situation? The first one, we are saying that despite impressive growth in enrollments, because enrollments in the higher education were high, the university subsector was still not oriented towards developmental needs. And then that the subsector produced raw numbers of graduates in science, health, agriculture, engineering, that was at less than 30%. And also that the female numbers were much lower than those ones of males, and especially in those areas of science, health, agriculture, and engineering. And then there was low investment and inadequate quality assurance mechanisms, such that the institutions were just struggling to provide quality educations to the students in the face of the crumbling kind of investments in terms of infrastructure and facilities. Next. There was also an outdated curriculum, outdated teaching methods, and insufficient research. In this case, universities were teaching institutions rather than research institutions. And again, the faculty research outputs were very low because there were not much involved in the research. There were small numbers of PhDs that were being produced each year, and hence insufficient and faculty and read researchers. For example, in 2013, only 290 students graduated with doctoral degrees, while the tertiary enrollment expanded by over 80,000 students. So you can see the mismatch that was there. Next. So with that kind of context, then we come in with the AC2 as the intervention. And this, of course, has been spanning for the last six years, 2016, 2023. And then we had 3 centers. And I can see somebody from out there saying they cannot see the screens. So before you get to that, let's go back. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we are talking of 3 centers. So these 3 centers, the first one is the Center of Excellence in Sustainable Agriculture and Agribusiness, that's CESAM at Egerton University. Then we had the Center of Excellence in Sustainable Use of Insects for Food and Feed, INSEFood at JOST. And then the third one was the center, or rather is the Center of Excellence in Phytochemicals, Textile, and Renewable Energy at Moi University. Next. Now, what were the developmental goals? I have just picked a general one, those two general ones, because the others we all know. But here what we are talking about is we wanted to strengthen higher education institutions so that they can deliver quality postgraduate education. And that is our developmental goal one. And then also build collaborative research capacity in the two areas, priority areas. And these two areas are mainly agriculture, that is basically food security, and manufacturing. And these are in line with the Kenya's Vision 2030, which is on the pillar of economic and social growth. Next. Now, I want to just give what I have given here is just a summary. I have not gone into a lot of details of each of the centers, but for the students enrollment, we have gone up to PhD 144. The figure may have, the figures that I'm giving here may have slight adjustments because these are figures that came in around September. So we might have slight adjustments. Then for the masters, we are talking of 422. Those ones on short courses, 472. Of course, the short courses, some of them may be slightly more than the figure that we are giving here, but this is what we have in the records. Then we are talking of also staff and student exchanges, which is 221 staff and postgraduate students for who went for exchanges nationally and also internationally. Next. Program accreditation, PhD 17. These ones we are talking of in the three centers. MSc programs 21. And also establishment of partnerships. These are MOUs that were signed, 61. And publications 613 in referred journals with regional and national authors. And the generated funds, we are talking of USD 6.1 million. Next. The outcomes after this, because those are the kind of achievements that we have now received. What are the outcomes and what are the expected impacts of this? The first one, we are talking of institutional capacity development. And we are saying that there is improved institutional capacity to provide quality training. This has come in as a result of staff retooling that has been going on. The opportunities for the staff exchanges, support for research innovations, improvement in teaching and research facilities, also including classrooms and laboratories. We are also talking of high quality research and publications. And this has resulted to higher universities' feasibility. The three universities now, their feasibilities is much higher compared to how it used to be at the inception of the project. Next. In terms of partnerships, we are talking of having established networks, linkages, and partnerships with academic institutions, both national, regional, and international. There was also networking with industry and private sectors. And these have improved collaboration, again, enhanced learning from each other. They have also provided access to shared facilities for research and exchange faculties and high quality training and research networks. And there has been supervision and collaborative scientific research that has been going on through these kind of partnerships. Next. In terms of improved governance and management of institutions, we are talking of having improved institutional management skills. Sorry, I can't see. There's somebody playing music. Joram.
Joram, can you mute yourself, please? The host, may I request you to please mute Joram?
Joram. So the host, I want to see the screen.
Hello, please go on.
Okay, yeah, there we are. So we are talking of improved institutional management skills, whereby we have they had their managements in terms of the accounting departments, procurement departments that were enhanced through the project practices. And this has now permeated through into all the university structure, such that the issues of accounting and procurement has improved across the whole of the university structures. We are also talking of having trained institutional management, that is finance and account and procurement staffs. The other very important is the timely audit reports and procurement processes that have come in, both internal audit reports and also the external audit reports that are able to be generated within the specified times. Next. In terms of outreach and impact to the society, we are talking of institutions that there was installation of biogas in the institutions, some of the schools within. This was mainly in Moi University. The community training on soap and detergent making. These were basically on the short courses that were going on. There was also community training and seed bulking. There was the training on the small and medium enterprises on the use of natural dyes in textile cottage industries, regional stakeholders training on natural dye application, community training on insect rearing and the value addition that goes with it. Next. And now let me look at the project contribution to the country and regional developmental goals. In Kenya, our constitution provides for the development, protection and application of science, technology and intellectual assets, including indigenous knowledge and technologies across all sectors. So that is our the main document. And from that, we developed the Kenya Vision 2030. This is the country's national development blueprint, which targets to promote quality and inclusive education, training and research for sustainable development in Kenya. And this resonates very well with the Sustainable Development Goal number 4 that aims to ensure inclusive and quality education that promotes lifelong learning opportunity for all. Next. Currently, we also have the Kenya government bottom-up economic transformation agenda, which we call it the BETTER, and it has the other 5 core pillars. The first one being agriculture. Second is micro, small and medium enterprise economy, housing and settlement, healthcare, and digital superhighway and creative economy. Then from there, we drew the education sector's strategic objectives, which is to enhance quality, among others, quality and relevance in education, training and research, promote vibrant industry institutional linkages in the area of skills for employability, and also integrate ICT in the education at all levels. So here we are saying the linkages that is there with what we have been doing and what we have as our education sector. So there is this kind of alignment in terms of education sector, our national blueprint, the government agenda, the transformational agenda, which is the in thing now. Next. And this is what we are saying, that the SC2 project therefore resonates with the national priorities. This is a food security agenda that focuses on SDG 1, and that is to eliminate poverty, and also 2, which is to eradicate hunger. Then there is the manufacturing, which is strongly recognized in the 9th and 12th Sustainable Development Goals, which focuses on the promotion of sustainable industries, investing in scientific research and innovation. Next. I have brought in some aspects of what is it now, the current. This is what our current economic report identifies. We identify low technology adoption, and this is very recent, and therefore these are some of the issues that as a country we may want to focus on and continue developing capacity in. We are also talking of low access to credit and skills, together with policy uncertainties in processing subsector, especially in the micro and small scale enterprises. And this is critical because this small scale and micro enterprises accounts to about 86% of the food manufacturing enterprises in Kenya. We are also looking at quality and relevance of higher education and research. And this is also in recognition as despite the high increase in the enrollment, we still have the challenge of faculty qualifications that has not improved much, and few faculties have also, very few of them do have the PhDs. And the gaps are most acute in the areas of science, technology, health, and other related disciplines. Next. According to the National Commission for Science and Technology, they are the ones responsible for the issuance of research licenses. They have this data, which we are talking of areas, the field of the study. We are talking of agricultural and natural resources, the number of licenses that have been offered, and I'll focus on 2021, 2022. See, those ones were 316. The area of earth and space science, 93. Health and biological sciences, 1408. Then humanities and social sciences, 3,893. ICT and infrastructure sciences, 246. Physical, industrial, and energy sciences, 92. So when you look at these areas, you can go to the next and try to see what it is giving us. Next slide. We have 3 items or 3 points that we can draw from here. The first one, that the number of research licenses have increased from 2021 to 2022 by around 17.4%. This is good that the researchers, people are doing more research, because that is what we wanted to see. We are also talking of 2 is that the research licenses granted in the area of humanities, social sciences, and health and biological sciences accounted to about 64.4% and 23.3% of all the research licenses granted. And the last one, which is very critical, is that the field of study with the least number of research licenses granted were earth and space sciences and physical sciences. So these are critical areas that require a lot of researches to be addressed. So you look at that, we are talking of a lot of research licenses is being done in areas of humanities and social sciences. So the question of the STEM areas are still lacking. And these are some of the things that we may want to pick up as we go forth. Next. So what does the economic survey tell us, or what are some of the areas that it is pointing out? One is that we need to refertilize agriculture sector as a priority as a country by sustaining, because it is the one that will be able to sustain macroeconomic fundamentals in the country. And this, the sector, is accounting for about 21.2% of the GDP. And then we are also saying that sustained agricultural productivity is key to enhance food production and lowering the cost of the living. And increasing investment in the smart agricultural practices is critical. So this is now building on our case for even continuation on the interventions that we have had in AC2, especially those ones in agriculture and manufacturing as the basis for economic transformation. Next. I will look now at the gaps and challenges during the implementation of AC2 and come up with a few of the recommendations that we feel we can take into account. The very first one is inadequate outreach and knowledge dissemination. As much as we have done a lot, there is still need for outreach and the knowledge dissemination, and especially for the research outputs that we are coming out. This one, we are proposing that there will be need to establish outreach and knowledge dissemination channels so that we can enhance accessibility. We also go through joint regional discourses, project publicity, feedback, and virtual outreaches. The next item or area of gap that we find is weak partnerships and collaborations. As much as a lot has been done so far, we feel that the centers can build on establishing consortia of higher education institutions that would scale up best practices in the region. And we can also enhance accreditation of quality programs. Yes, we have had this national accreditation, and we also focusing and can be able now to tap into the regional accreditation, even if not the international accreditations, but those areas of our programs, it will be able to enhance their quality and also be able to give that high-ed kind of research. We are also looking at enhancing collaborations and linkages in key thematic areas for knowledge development. Next. Inadequate private sector engagement. Yes, we tried within the phase of the AC2, the first phase, of our first phase of AC2, but we feel there is need to continue on this private sector engagement. And we are proposing that there is need to develop a framework for a private sector inclusion in the research. Because we find that they are the consumers of the research, but we need to bring them on board Of course, we have tried to do that through the MOUs that were developed, but much more can be done in this field. Another area is limited capacity for policy deliberations, development, and implementation. And in this case, we are talking of we need to enhance capacity of researchers and graduate students and government officers on how to develop the policy documents, policy briefs. You realize a lot has come in, research outputs, but how does it, or how is it presented to the government so that decisions can be made? So there is need to have those policy briefs, and therefore we need to enhance capacity of our researchers and even government officers to be able to do this. Unstable innovation and incubation centers. Yes, in Kenya we had one at one of the incubation center. And we are saying we need to go further beyond that and establish model innovation and incubation centers for product development, business, startups, and commercialization. The issue of commercialization still stands as a big problem. A lot of outputs that came out have not been commercialized. And this, I think, is an area that require a lot of focus. Limited opportunities for graduate students' progression and capacity. Yes, we have produced a big number of those graduates now. The question is, what can we tap into them? And we are suggesting that we need to do tracer studies so that we can establish where they are. I listened to Rwanda, and I think most of their graduates have been employed, not so much in Kenya. So then this needs to be done. We need to do our tracer studies and identify opportunities for progression of these graduates to PhD and postdoc, and even for the areas of employment. Next. We are talking of inactive research resource mobilization departments. This is an area we feel that we need to establish department. Yes, we had what came in, talking of about USD 6.1 million through the mobilization that was done. This is an eye-opener, but we are thinking in Kenya we needed to have or to establish departments that can work and be charged with the responsibilities of mobilizing resources through developing proposals and consultancies. This is an area that can again be looked into, and we are focusing on that. Discussion is going on in that area. Another aspect is the limited ICT application. And here we are proposing building more capacity in ICT and exploring more channels of ICT application. In our further discussions, you remember last time when we presented, we talked of one of the area that we propose for venturing into is the ICT and how we can be able to use it in our education sectors. So we need to build more capacity in that area and continue developing more channels in terms of ICT application. Then we are talking of limited capacity for policy deliberations, which I think I talked earlier. We need to do that. Next. These are some of the plans that we have put in place in terms of sustainability. One, the centers are integrating within the university systems and structures of our host institutions. That is, we are embedding them into the departments that are there, and also ensuring that the areas of managerial, finance, and auditing at the university is still being paid from the university. That continues, and these centers will continue getting all this support. We are also talking of the centers will develop into institutes with their niche areas. What we have in mind here is that they will form institutes. They will become an institute, like for instance, JAWS to be an institute of insects, food, and feeds. We are talking of, and we'll be able to develop within that area. Then we have MOI becoming a center for renewable energy. Egerton becoming a center for sustainable agriculture, because those are their areas of specialty and they can be able to go beyond that. And therefore, these institutes will become more or less like anchor centers where others would come and learn from. In terms of resource mobilization, we are talking of through grants applications, including partnering with industry who are potential. And this is why I talked about coming up with the departments that will be purely mandated to deal with grants and resource mobilization. Talking of mounting short courses targeted to the community and the industry, again, this will bring in more resources. Next. We are also talking of innovations, incubation and patenting of the research and products outputs. The assumption here is if you're able to do this, there will be, of course, more sustainable ways of ensuring the centers continue. Commercialization of the innovations, again, consultancy services. And then the critical one is the one we have put down there. We are saying that the National Steering Committee, as currently constituted, needs to continue. We are talking of, we have the institution membership, we have the ministerial members from there, we have different agencies, we have other ministries. So in this context, this will continue to help provide guidance, provide the way forward and direction. So we are not disbanding the National Steering Committee, but we are even going to empower it to be able to provide that kind of guidance and oversight. Next. Then I want to look at finally the key lessons learned with the view of informing future programs. One is we need to achieve high impact science, and this we can do this through transiting most of those masters whom we have graduated to PhD. So we need to do most scholarships. Those with PhDs, maybe for postdoctoral training in areas of data analytics, which is required for policy decision making. Then another lessons that we have learned is there is need for capacity building for grassroots and high-ed technologies for industrialization, particularly trainings of technologists and technicians. In the current setup and the structure of the AC2, I think we didn't focus more on these areas. So we feel that this is a lesson that we have learned and we may need to focus on those areas. Another one is more investment is required for high levels of impactful research. So as much as we have invested and have received a lot of outputs and outcomes, we still require to invest more in this high-level skills for any impactful development. Next. There's need for commercialization through transfer of technologies and adequate financing of innovation hubs for all centers to support grassroots and industry uptake. Yes, the innovation hubs needs to be supported. And the other one is that further in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, we realized that there was need to develop resilient structures that would breed capacity building, outreach activities, research, and interactions, making sure that our structures are resilient to such kind of shocks that would come in, I think was a great lesson. Next. Then for the sustainability of the project, we are learned that it is important to embed the project into the main structure of the host institutions, because it's only through that it will continue. Because even if you have to get another phase and another phase, at one point, then it will still need to go to the host institution. And the way we are structuring it as an institute, it is therefore going to get more support from these host institutions. The other one is we learned that there is a strong outreach and communication strategy is necessary for the feasibility of the project. And this is very important because we require to reach out for more resources to come in. We need to be able to sell what we have for people to see. That kind of feasibility is practical and very important. Then there is need to cascade the benefits that we have already received to other institutions, including cottage industry, community empowerment, and policy guidelines for sustainable, for such better best practices. Next. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Paul, for that succinct presentation. And while you are still there, I'm just going to ask if there's just one maybe clarification question that might be raised from the floor here. Yeah. Yeah.
I have one question to my Kenyan colleague. The question is for sustainability. He suggested that embedding the project into university structure can solve the problem. Does really embedding it solve the problem of sustainability? That is my question. How does it solve? Because simply embedding it or simply including it in university structure cannot solve the problem of sustainability. Sustainability needs money. Sustainability needs lots of things. Therefore, how does embedding into university structures solve the problem of really sustainability?
Want to take that one, Paul?
Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you for that question. Yes, it's true. When we talk of embedding the project into the structure of the university, I don't want to be taken that I said that it will solve all the problems of sustainability. But it's one way of ensuring that we can continue in this project. The problems will be there for resources. And that's why I'm saying, yes, you have that structure, but you also come up with a department that will be able to continue generating proposals that will be able to bring in more resources. But if you leave it in such a way that it is not, doesn't have any structure, because what we are talking about here is we will have the vice chancellor, who is still the head of the institution. So we'll have here as our institution and as an institute, but you cannot divorce it totally from to run on its own from the institutional structures. So you have the university vice chancellor, you have those other structures. So you must have alignment towards that kind of structure, such that whatever you are doing, it is not totally independent, but you may be having even support. We are also talking of you are going to get people who are seconded from the university. Some of these are being paid by the university. If you are talking of auditors, we are talking of procurement departments, we are talking of accounting. All this has to come from the university structure. So that is what I'm talking about. You must embed it. But of course, I don't want us to look at it as being swallowed into the university. And that's why I proposed that it can be as an institution, an institute that is running, but of course within the university. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Paul. I hope you can stay on because there's going to be more discussions after we have heard from the remaining groups.
Yes, I will be on.
Yeah, at this time, I think we could take a reduced tea break. It was 30 minutes. Maybe if we can reduce it down to 20 minutes, would it work so that we can catch up on time? Thank you very much.
Hi, actually, could I come in for a second? It's Roberta. I'm so sorry I couldn't be there, but I know there were some questions in the room and I can only join for a short while. So is it okay if I just take a minute to see if there are any questions remaining in the room that you wanted to ask me while I'm here?
Yeah. Who wants to ask? Okay, I'll let you.
I think most things probably were addressed, but if there's anything that you really wanted to pose, then I'm happy to do it now. Even if people get coffee, but if there are people who wanted to ask questions, then you could ask questions. I'll just hang out here while you're getting coffee and such.
Did you hear what she said? Are you asking now, or are you prepared to wait later?
No, I can't because I'm speaking on a panel soon. So I really just wanted to give a chance. I think there were questions about expenditures, but you caught all those. I think there was a question about regional versus international accreditation. If there is anything outstanding that people just want to understand sort of the bank's position and it wasn't clarified yesterday, then I'm here to help answer some of those. So otherwise, please go get coffee. It's fine. I don't need the airtime. I just wanted to give people a chance to ask questions if they had any.
Okay. All right. Okay. I think
this. Roberta, you have something on the chat.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. We can wait after Chris. Yeah. Thank you. Let's take a quick tea break and then we can.
Okay.
She's willing?
Who? Me?
We are not hearing you properly. Are you going to? Yeah.
No, I have to leave, but Malshri will take some questions until noon your time, and then she has to head to the airport. But I will check back in. If there are questions that people want to ask me specifically, there is a question about accreditation. Just to say to all of you, anything that's accomplished before December 31st will be taken into account for disbursement. That is 100% going to happen. Anything that happens after December 31st, 2023 for countries other than Malawi and Mozambique will not be counted for disbursements. So if you have a way to accelerate anything that you have in motion right now in order to make sure that they happen before the 31st, please make sure you do that. And if you need some support from IUCA or the bank to do that, don't wait. Don't wait any longer. There is no time left to wait to see if something may or may not be happening. Check in with us right away. We are trying to really push the funds out. And we, as you know, many of you know, we restructured some of your country context financing in order to be able to move funds around so that we can disperse as much as possible before the 31st. Any expenditures that have been accumulated by the 31st can be paid out during the grace period, but no new expenditures can be made after the 31st of December. I know that all of my colleagues have been explaining this yesterday, and we've been explaining it for the last couple of years. But if there's still some questions, send us emails, give us phone calls. We're here to help support you to get as much as you can from what you've achieved before the end of the project in December. Okay?
Okay. So I got the mic, and my name is Richard Edema.
Hi, Richard.
Hi. So the emails will come.
I've seen many emails from you, so I'm keeping an eye on them.
Yeah, the emails are already there. But the other question is, yesterday was all full of sustainability discussions.
Yeah.
Some of the issues, as I know for sure, you know, there's a lot of discussion how to go forward, at least in Uganda. Now, the really other question, you know, this renewal issue of not even renewal or whatever project that may be a follow-up of this, if any, is still a question sometimes which isn't clear. And one of the questions is always that if you're going to get a second round or another version of projects, is the World Bank interested in funding such a thing? Is that a possibility? And we normally don't have an answer to that because I don't think we have clear answers. What is the answer?
Yeah, I actually think I've been providing a very clear answer to this for the last couple of years, which is your governments need to articulate to the bank that there is interest on your side. We don't generate projects from the World Bank. We accept requests from governments and then work with governments to generate projects together collectively. So I can't unilaterally, nobody at the bank can unilaterally decide that we're going to have a major project and then make that happen. That's not how it works. And we have not received formal requests for a follow-up project outside of the additional financing, which, as you know, Malawi and Mozambique have received. So there needs to be a collective action that happens on the government side from each of your governments that says that they want to take out these credits or these loans, depending on the country status and their economic development. But that has not been prioritized by your ministries of finance or by your line ministries, which makes it impossible for us to follow up. That's been our message for the last 3 years or so. So we don't have the power. Your national steering committees really are the most empowered to push this initiative through. If it came to us that there's more than one, preferably 3 or 4 countries that had a shared commitment to taking on this effort, then I would be assigned, or someone like me would be assigned to craft the follow-up project. This is just the way that the bank has always worked. And we've been asking the governments to come through with some form of energy around a follow-up project, and we just have not received it. And so we do have the benefit, though, of this additional financing period to keep the teams on the ground, at least at IUCA and Malawi and Mozambique, to do some of this sort of background work on trying to drive forward a new project if it is something that your countries want. But that's not been a message received by the bank from any of your countries collectively, or even bilaterally. I have not received any kind of requests from any of your governments saying this is something we want, even one-on-one. So, between Uganda and the bank, or, we have a huge project in Tanzania that may preclude follow-up with ACE. But it's still very hard to say how to energize your governments to ask for this. And without that, we can't do it. I mean, this is just not the role that the bank plays in the region. We answer the call and the request for support, but we don't dictate the format and the issues that get addressed through these big lending projects. So if you find that something has happened and it's stuck somewhere, either in your Ministry of Finance, your Ministries of Education, or somewhere else, I don't know, Foreign Affairs or something, that it has not then been relayed to the bank, please let us know. But otherwise, no. So from our side, what we've been doing internally, and all of your country TTLs have been involved, is we're trying to energize this assessment of the impact of ACE to at least internally have energy around the structure, so that when the requests do come in to our regional integration unit, or to our vice presidents, or to somebody who would receive that connection from your Ministry of Finance, that we're ready to jump in and come up with a design and work with all of you to have the next phase. But it's not the bank's decision or the bank's energy that determines whether that happens. That happens from your national steering committees and from your governments.
Thank you. Thank you, Roberta.
You're
Now the
welcome.
questions keeps coming, but
Okay.
thanks for the extra.
No, I'm very happy, and I will miss all of you. This has been, part of my core work and something I care so much about for the last 5 years. And it's very sad for me as well that this is not something that has been extended, although I'm very happy that we get to keep going with Malawi and Mozambique. But for whatever reason, people outside of your space and
Can
mine
I
have
give
not
you one-
energized this. So
Can I give you one
go
more?
ahead.
Hello, Roberta.
Hi there.
I'm asking on the incubation centers. You started the 4 incubation centers in the region, and they were supposed to be a model of incubation, a spin-off, and the commercialization centers. And these incubation centers have done so well. And I just wonder if we are going to just leave them like that after doing so well and with all the expectation that there will be the incubation center for the region. And now they are in a place where they can actually be so. And now the project is closing. Nobody is talking about them. And I believe IUCEA has some money somewhere hidden or the World Bank. Yeah, there must be some money somewhere. So that the centers can be actually promoted to another level. Thank you.
Thanks for that. Yeah, I think this needed to be something within the sustainability planning at each of the national levels as well. I think, Tanzania could use heat project funds potentially. It could use some other funds. I worry that this concept of sustainability that we've been talking, and I know we've been talking about it sort of ad nauseum for the last three years or more, still seems quite vague. But the bank's role in all of these efforts and everything we do everywhere in the world is really to serve as a bridge, right? We are not there to anchor permanently any kind of interventions. We help bridge from nothing to something in hopes that something becomes part of just the embedded actions within the country. And so one of the sustainability issues for these innovation hubs really is that they would find external other forms of financing. The bank would create the basis and the structures and the foundations to make that happen. And then in the time that the funding was provided by the bank, there would be a constant effort to find sustainable resources to keep that going. That's never the bank's role. IUCA may have a capacity to bridge a little bit longer. I have no idea how that is meant to be budgeted in their overall financing model. But it's really now a negotiation between the hub leaders and their host governments and their host institutions to see if there's another form of financing. We can't, and there's just no will on the bank side, and it's really not our mission to stay in place funding anything in perpetuity. That's just not how we operate. So this was always meant to be something that was part of a sustainability plan. And I think the sustainability planning for some of you has gone extremely well. For others, you have met either resistance or sort of external challenges. I'm not really sure, but there has been quite a large variation on how well the centers are being built into a sustainable ecosystem for research and competitiveness in their countries. So I think that's maybe a conversation you need to have with the host institutions and the host governments to see if they can find other funding, or with external funders, philanthropy or the private sector. But I guarantee you, along with all things that are being sort of shut down when this project ends, the funding from the bank sources for those centers has to end as well.
Hi, Roberta. This is Jude.
Hi, Jude.
Kindly throw some more light on how centers spend the money that will have remained after the 31st of December. The number of outstanding activities, the number of students within the pipeline, we need to give them stipendium, we need to pay for their tuition. There are a number of students who are still in the field. We are giving them money regularly. So we are wondering, how are we going to handle this after the 31st December when we still have the money anyway? I'm talking about centers that have the money. And we can't give out the money now before students reach the level when they are supposed to get the funds. There are also some people that are supposed to receive funds, like the suppliers and so on and so forth. So how do we handle that after 31st December? Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, good. And I think that the FM people, your local financial management support will be more technically useful, right? How you manage the explicit exchanges. I can speak from the sort of the defined terms of how we operate. Any expenses. So this is especially easy, I guess more simple when talking about your suppliers. If you have incurred the expense before December 31st, you can spend the money to pay them up through the end of the grace period. The issue with students, and this is a project with, a problem with higher education projects that we support all over the world, is to try to front load the tuition payments. So if you can pay things out before the end of December 31st, before the end of the project, please try to do that. The issue around monthly stipends and things like this, I don't think it's possible to keep spending the funds that way, but I would check in with your financial management person to see if the concept of those charges or those funds can be counted as an expense that was occurred before the 31st, a contractual expense. I think there is an argument you could make that it is. Then you probably can pay out for the 4 months after the project has closed. In which case you may wish to then adjust the amount. So if they're going to be receiving funds through the end of June, but you can only pay them through the end of April, then maybe you reformulate the funds so that you give the total amount in 4 increments instead of 6. That's one answer to one of many questions I think you probably have about those things. I think your financial management person in your country office is going to be the most useful person to assess what can and can't be done. I would recommend getting in touch with them immediately, because now you have about 6 weeks to really figure out how to map out this last bit of expenditure spending, so it's not just about disbursements, but it's about what have you been billed for and what are you going to be billed for up through the end of December. There is a very hard close though on December 31st. Nothing that, if we see an invoice or something that's got a January 1, 2024, that cannot be paid out of World Bank funds. So if you you have also a bill or something that you think is going to come in, and you've kind of been waiting to let the supplier or the contractor, whoever it is, submit their invoice, and it may be January, it may be February. No, you need to make sure that anything related to this project comes in before December 31st so that you have that window to pay it out. If the invoice or anything comes in after December 31st, there is no way for projects funds to pay a post-closing expenditure. So really look at anything that is sort of outstanding that should be paid out of World Bank funds. Make sure that all billing and invoices and anything has a date prior to December 31st on it so that you can pay it using World Bank funds. The question about tuition and stipends, the university will probably end up having to step in and figure that part out if it hasn't been contractually able to, if you haven't been able to figure out a way to front load the payments so that they're incurred within the project cycle and the grace period. But again, check with your financial management person. If you are unsure who that is, check with your country TTL so they can direct you to the right person who can help with that.
Roberta, hi, this is Hans here.
Hi, Hans.
Yeah, I think we will possibly request for a meeting more to discuss on the Tanzanian side at a later date to discuss these issues you have raised. But my main question is to try and understand the World Bank perspective of the ACE. You had ACE 1 and ACE 2, and then you had ACE for impacts. I wanted you to reflect on how does sustainability looks like, or what theory of change did the World Bank have with respect to these ACEs? Thank you.
That's an excellent question. So the theory of change initially was largely around the production of academic staff with higher levels of qualifications, and the movement towards sort of advanced research for Africa. So those were the two key concepts of change that we really wanted to see at the end, that there was an improved sort of quorum of high quality academic staff, and that's been your jobs for the last 6 years, really training advanced PhDs with higher levels of skills. As all of you know, most of sub-Saharan Africa academic staff do not have advanced degrees. And so the quality questions around the delivery of higher education across the continent, this was one of the key drivers to the development of the ACE model as a whole. We just did an impact evaluation on a pilot group of the ACEs on the west and central side, since they had more time for implementation. And the bank largely really likes this model, really likes the regional collaboration, this idea of pooling resources, of pooling time, with the staff time, of pooling expertise across sort of shared technical areas. So there is a commitment to this model. But what has happened, and I think this is from sort of my technical team management perspective, is that the ACEs across all of these initiatives, these 3 phases of ACE, and we'll see what happens with Malawi and Mozambique. We're trying to sort of reinvigorate how we supervise in hopes that there's a different kind of energy around ACE now, is that there's been a bit of, I think, it's not complacency, that's too harsh a word, that's not what I mean, but there's been a settling into the ACE model as if it's going to be there forever as a World Bank initiative. And that's something that the bank is now pulling back from, and not, again, not me or Huma or Malshri or any of the country TTLs who are here. You know, we are deeply invested in each of your centers and care because we've been working directly with you. But the World Bank as a whole now is looking at this model and saying, well, what is happening? Is it changing anything? Are they changing their universities? Are they changing their higher education sectors? Has there been transformation based on this near $1 billion worth of spending across the continent? And if we can't measure real system-wide change, is this the model that's going to work for the future? That's where we are right now. That's why we did this first on, not we, I didn't do it, but by ACE did impact evaluation on the west side. We will do one on the east side, especially around the closing reporting for ACE2, because we want to be able to tell the stories of how each of your centers and each of your initiatives have had a transformative impact on your institutions, more as a bigger whole, and on your national higher education systems. Is the sector working better because all of these huge investments in ACE? That's the largest overriding question. And then the second question is, in tying ACE to the World Bank's mission, is this model going to keep driving forward this new evolved mission of the World Bank to be more agile, to be highly impactful, right? To be much more about sort of skills and empowerment? Is this the model that's going to feed into that new narrative? That's a real question. We hope through the ICR, through the completion reporting for ACE, that we're able to tell that story. But this is why we're always asking all of you, give us the stories of impact. Tell us about these really positive externalities of your work. What extra is happening from what you're doing that shows a change to your sectors as a whole? Because there isn't great value to the World Bank's mission of reducing poverty and expanding shared prosperity, right? This sort of these 2 twin pillar idea of how the bank works, to have single centers with lots of money doing isolated things, right? It's wonderful for your center. It might even be wonderful for your university, but if it's not impacting a system-wide improvement, maybe it's not the model that we need for our mission. And so we, on the technical side, keep trying to drive this argument home. Like, let's try to use the ACE narrative to tell the story of the impact that you're having. And that's quite difficult. So we have all these isolated examples, but we do need better data from all of you on what has been the impact of your center on how your institutions run, on how your national system is working. Has there been a change in the quality of your PhD graduates and the employability of your graduates and the commercialization of your research? What is the story that needs to be told to show broader impact? We're still working on those, and we work with IUCA and all of your comms teams and all of you. I mean, Hans, you and I have had conversations about this in the past. But there are questions now around ACE, and we are trying to find a way to really support a next phase for the project with this idea of impact and long-term change coming through this model. It was a very long answer, but it's in my head all the time.
Good morning, Roberta.
Good morning.
I have one question. I need clarification from your side first. What is the due date for achieving the DLIs? And what is the due date for spending the money which have been achieved after achieving the DLIs? Thank you.
Yeah. The first one's easier. You must achieve all your DLIs by December 31st, full stop. if you are not Malawi or Mozambique. If you're Malawi and Mozambique, you can ignore most of what I'm saying. But for everyone else, it's December 31st. The expenditure question, again, is really about anything that was billed before December 31st. So, I mean, there's another part that's a bit more vague, and I would really ask you to talk to your financial management people around the vague element, which is a lot of these are reimbursed funds, right? You've already incurred a lot of costs related to your implementation. These funds are coming in. You need to figure out sort of whether or not these go into a general fund or if they have to be explicitly spent on World Bank related or ACE2 related expenditures. My advice, because of what my role is here, is that everything that you want to spend your funds on, you need to have bills and invoices and everything in by December 31st, 2023. So there may be room and flexibility for spending on sort of anything that is more general funds oriented, because the money has moved into a general fund and it's now just part of a budget system. That is much too technical for me to know, but really check with your financial management person, the World Bank financial management person in your country management unit. And if you're not sure who that is, please check with your country TTL. I know you know who they are. But the simplest answer is, if you have incurred an expenditure by December 31st, 2023, you can use World Bank funds to pay that out, but only, again, through the end of the grace period. I think with this model of the DLRs, that the grace period may be not as relevant because those funds have been dropped into your account, but the timeline for the expenditures received is relevant. That does fix to December 31st, 2023. So check with your financial management person on how much space you have in terms of paying out of those funds. There is often some flexibility from this performance-related financing, but I'm less clear on that. I do know, though, that for any bills, have the bills all be incurred before December 31st.
Good morning, Roberta. I'm Faleke from Ethiopia.
Nice to talk to you, Faleke.
Yeah, so mine is a quick, short question. We are not familiar with the World Bank system, but concerning the next stage, is it who should initiate the formal request? Is it the government or something should come from the World Bank? So we are not aware of this the processes. So thank you very much.
Sure. So with anything project oriented, the initiation of the request needs to come from the government. That is usually the Ministry of Finance, and with education projects, usually in collaboration with your Ministry of Higher Education, Education, Science, Technology. I mean, I know you all have different terms for the supervising line ministry of your higher education institutions, but that has to come from your government. And then if we have a quorum of those, and I think Rwanda was working on it, Uganda, if enough of them come in saying we had great success on ACE2, we really want ACE X, whatever the next ACE is going to be, and we want to support these types of initiatives, collectively we can pull them together and begin a conversation around what that would look like from a technical perspective. But those, again, all is couched into many factors, and I know I've described this in the past. I'm sorry for those of you that have had to endure this conversation numerous times before, but there are many issues that impact whether or not a project is something that gets considered by the bank and considered by your ministries of finance for the most part. A lot of that is about how much debt window is open for your country. A lot of that is due to how much funds have been allocated to that country context for borrowing and lending initiatives on the bank side. That has to all be triangulated around your country partnership frameworks or whatever negotiated focus of attention and focus of technical support has been agreed between your country and the World Bank for these finite periods, which usually are between 5 and 7 years. So when all of that comes together, then we have space to develop a new project. But your countries start it, then the bank and the country looks together on how much debt has your country incurred, how much debt are they willing to add into that based on, from World Bank borrowing based on a technical commitment to certain areas. And if that area is science, technology, research, innovation, then the conversation moves to somebody like me to be able to create, along with each of your country working groups and your steering committees, a project that suits your interests and your needs. If there is no triangulation of those three, it doesn't progress out of the dialogue space between the bank's leadership team and your Ministry of Finance, and then it just disappears. So we have been stressing for a very long time that you need to use your national steering committees to create energy locally, to create some kind of dynamic initiative to have this continue forward. It is never the banks on the bank side to push new projects on countries, because it is something that your country borrows for. That lending initiative, that sort of drive to take on the debt because they believe the outcome is going to be a greater benefit, that comes from your country's side. So again, really use your national steering committees, use your ministries of science, technology, higher education, whomever is your champion in your government, to try to come up with a proposal for what would come next. And if you can use the regional steering committee in a way, because they will stay in place, thankfully, through the additional financing, to be champions around this collective regional effort, then even better. But between all of those things have to happen for a technical team to come in and come up with a new design for the next phase of a project.
Hi, Roberta. Ghulam here.
Hi, Ghulam.
A couple of countries have asked about the follow-up, and you've given your point of view about the follow-up to the ACE. We've been talking about this at the Regional Steering Committee for over a year now, 18 months, if I'm not mistaken. We started action on it. We were very clear, I think we got it from the World Bank, that World Bank cannot come forward and give the money. That is not the issue. It has to be initiated at government level. And the right place to start with the Regional Steering Committee, because all the country representatives represent the respective government. And we've already got more than 3, if I'm not mistaken, 5 or 6 countries, which have, of the existing countries, plus a couple of others maybe that might be coming in, who have expressed interest in going forward with a new approach with a new set of ACEs coming in. And these countries were supposed to contact their respective governments, the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Finance, and so on, and then submit appropriate letters of interest to the IUCA. And IUCA was supposed to coordinate the whole thing and to see whether we can formulate it in terms of a project. I think this information may not have been passed on to the respective countries. And in fact, when we meet at the end of this week, the RSC, when it meets at the end of this week, we are going to follow up on this. But clearly, there is interest from our information, clear interest among several countries of going forward with a new set of ACEs, plus an additional financing for ACEs which are very specific, which are difficulties, unexpected difficulties. I'm not going to mention them, but that as well is going to be coming as part of the package of a new set of ACEs when it comes over to the World Bank. So action is being taken, and most countries will hear about it, but the only problem is this doesn't take place very quickly. I mean, Roberta can confirm, it takes time. We're talking of something between 18 months to 2 years before the actual project is formulated. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. That's really helpful too for me to know. So I'll keep an eye out for what comes in. I will, I believe, remain in the Africa region working for the next few years. And so it's something that I would be able to at least steward through a next phase. And so I genuinely really hope it does. And I know sometimes it seems between World Bank and the ACEs that we are taskmasters and we're trying to sort of hold you accountable. But I also, your success is our success, and we care deeply about the sustainability of this initiative, about what has happened with all of your centers and how successful you have been in trying to champion that as far as possible. But the energy now has to be on the countryside, and that is the sustainability agenda. And I hope that is what comes next. And yes, on our side as well, I think the bank leadership team is interested in what's new, what is sort of really going to make an impact. I think looking at those centers that are vital for Africa, but very difficult to keep sustaining on their own because they aren't necessarily financially viable independently, but without them, there is no local capacity across sub-Saharan Africa. I think those are really key investment areas that we would be interested in supporting as well. I think some of the other ones, centers with high commercial value or that have the capacity to find financing from other sectors or other donors, other private sector participants, whomever that is, that's probably going to be of less interest to the bank going forward because they're going to be looking much more on impact, as I said.
Thank you. Thank you so much for staying along and articulating all those answers. And I think at this point, we can bring this session to a close and take a break for tea. Thank you very much. Let's come back for the Ugandan presentation in 20-minute time. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, just before we go for tea, there's an announcement here.
Good morning, everyone. I have one announcement to make. Tomorrow after lunchtime, we'll be visiting 2 centers of excellence here. The first one is Center for Oil and Gas. The second one is Center for Agri-Systems, Agri-Food Systems and Nutrition. So I would like to call upon everyone to register with me which center is going to visit tomorrow, so as to make proper logistical arrangements. I would prefer everyone to register at least before close of business today. Thank you very much.
Otherwise,